Well, on this trip, I'm meeting up with my buddy Steve. I just arrived here at the river. I've got about 5 minutes to go, and then we should meet up at our camping spot and get going from there. We have arrived, folks. This is where we'll be spending our night, our day, our night, and all of tomorrow pretty much. This is it right here. All this flat ground. Got a bathroom right here. Just gonna pull into one of those little camping sites. We are where we want to fish for, I guess, just the next 24 hours or so. That's the dam, and that right there is Steve. We want to get fishing as soon as possible, maximize our time out here so that we can increase our odds of catching sturgeon.
Of my great homemade
it
rod
fell
holder.
off?
It already broke.
Oh. This is Steve's little homemade rod holder. There's not a lot of good, I wouldn't say a lot, there's literally none out in the market right now where you have a solid like sturgeon rod holder. So even mine are homemade, which I'll show you guys here momentarily. We got this entire shoreline right here to fish, and even that way too if we want to. In terms of rod holder, this is a homemade rod holder that my dad made. It's just a piece of aluminum that he essentially welded so that there's a point down here so that you can dig into the ground, and then this is just PVC. He just cut it so that you can put your rod, the butt of your rod, inside here, and he just screwed on a couple screws and some nuts and bolts onto here so that it just, you know, it just doesn't move. With that being said, let's just hammer this to the ground. So that right there is plenty strong enough. Basically, if the sturgeon really wants the bait and he just takes off, then it has the potential of just flying off, but the sturgeon has to really want it for that to happen. But it should be plenty fine. We'll just keep an eye on our rod. This is a Shimano Torium 30 HG reel. It's a casting reel. I really like the reel. It's a more expensive reel, but like that big handle knob so that when you're trying to crank in fish, you just get a good grip of your handle. And then for my rod, this is the Ugly Stik big water rod. It's a 12-foot rod, extra heavy, fast action rod. And then for my main line right there, that is 50-pound mono. On my main line, I just have one of these slink slides on there, so this thing can slide back and forth. I have 20-pound mono tied to an 8-ounce weight. Below my sinker slide is a plastic bead, and then I have a rubber bead, and then I have a crane swivel, and I just have my mono or my main line tied to one eye of the swivel using a uni knot. On the other eye of the swivel, I just have about 80-pound Dacron tied to an 8/0 barbless Gamakatsu octopus hook, and then on there I have a piece of squid, and I also just have a little night crawler just wrapped around my squid using some magic thread. And the squid is just tied onto there using 8-pound mono. I'm just wrapping that line all around it, and then I just end up tying it to the eye up here. And the reason why you want to tie your bait onto your hook is because with sturgeon, you are legally required to use barbless hooks. And so if you don't have a barb there, it's just a lot easier for your bait to slide off your hook. So I just like to secure my bait onto there with some fishing line, smaller fishing line. So one thing too is you always want to make sure that you set your drag properly, because if you have it really tight and a fish takes your rod, you set the hook, because your drag is so tight you might actually snap your line. So I always like to loosen my drag or have it slightly loose so even I can pull it just like this. I mean, it's not like loose, but you'd rather have it a little loose, and then when you fight the fish, you can then adjust how tight you want it. That way you just don't run the risk of setting the hook and just snapping everything off. And then the other thing you have to look for on these reels is your break. Your break essentially just determines how fast your line will unspool. If you have your break set really loose, your line will unspool faster than your weight flying, and that's what's going to cause a bird nest. So you always want to be aware of that. With this reel, that's all there is to it. And then over here, if you look right here, there's a little button. This is just your clicker. So if you turn it on, when the line is loose, it makes a noise. So it can be a good indicator if you're not like always looking at your rod, but if you turn it off, then it makes no sound. So just a little overview of the reel right there. And so right now it's just a matter of let's cast and let's hope the fish play. We'll just work with that. So all we need to do right now is wait for our sinker to hit the bottom, and then we want to just mend our line basically until we get our weight to sit, because you don't want your weight to just be drifting all over the place. You want to just guide it until it sticks on the bottom. As far as I can tell, there's hardly any current. You just cast, and wherever your sinker hits, like, it just stays there. We're purposely fishing on this side of the dam because normally what happens is during the spring like this, you get all that runoff draining into the river, and so you get a lot of water in the river. And usually what happens is they actually open basically the dam and they let all that runoff just come down the river. And so on the other side of the river, usually there's just basically white water, just a whole bunch of current. And usually during this time of the year, if you're fishing on that side, you actually won't be able to even get your weight to stick on the bottom because there's just so much current and the current's just so fast. But here, like right now, you can see it's just pretty dead. And that's primarily why we're fishing on this side of the dam again, even though they're not opening the dams today for some reason. So that's pretty much all there is to it. Make sure our weight is sticking on the bottom. If the sturgeon don't want to play today, we can possibly catch a channel catfish, which I would not mind. So we're just gonna take this little bell and we're just gonna clip it to our line. That way when the rod moves, it informs us. Just gonna gather some wood. How's the heat? Is that hot? Too hot? Hot? Good enough?
It's hot. I think it's really hot.
Too hot?
I think it's perfect, honestly.
Oh, is it? Okay. So I just don't want to burn the steak.
Yeah. See that?
So we got Steve's beef patties right there. We just got some elk steak on this side. It is hot, so you gotta look at that. It's already pretty cooked. Oh yeah. I mean, it's elk meat, so it's not like we need this to be well done or anything. We just need it to, whew, that's hot. One burger patty, two burger patty.
I just looked at once. I'm just kidding. Oh, I don't care. I know.
Double patty bacon burger. Legit?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Look at that bite.
It's even better than it smelled. Gotta get you some of this.
I'll drive over to where you're at. Well, I told him where you're at. Like,
Are you right?
yeah.
So you were just
Yeah. Yeah. So I had one day to hunt. Like,
one day to hunt.
4 hours.
What the? Is that a fish? That was the worst hook set of all time. Oh my gosh, dude. I don't think. I mean, there is a little bit of weight on there, but I don't think it's anything because I didn't feel any tugging. Oh, I do. Oh, I got a fish.
Oh, you did?
Oh, I do have a fish. What the heck is that? It's a sucker fish.
How did a sucker eat that?
Dude. Catfish bait, bro.
Dude, that's awesome.
Catfish bait.
Let's go.
That was the absolute worst hook set of all time. But here's why that happened. Because usually when I'm setting the hook like that, I'm expecting a big rock at the end of my rod. So like I set it, and then usually just the weight of the sturgeon, like it'll prevent my rod from doing that. But I didn't think I had this guy on there. So basically what happens, I set the hook, he probably just came flying in the water. he stood no chance. But this is a sucker fish. First time catching a sucker fish on a sturgeon rod. We're gonna stay up late and we're just gonna fish for catfish. So we're actually gonna just kill this guy because look, he's already bleeding pretty bad. I got him in the gill, so we're just gonna kill him anyway because he's probably gonna die. Then yeah, we're just gonna use this guy for catfish bait. One thing I can't sleep without, just a little pillow. Put that like that. Voila. That's my bed. Here at the specific spot that we're fishing today, you actually cannot fish at night for sturgeon. And so since night is approaching us, we're gonna put our sturgeon gear away, and instead of targeting sturgeon, we're gonna swap over to our catfish setup. That right there, just a small piece of sucker. Hopefully we can land ourselves a channel catfish. So it is probably super dark for you guys right now, but I just got a small hook right here. So I'm just gonna make sure that I poke this hook through the skin, because the skin will actually help hold the meat onto the hook here. So we're just gonna make sure that we poke through just like that. Then we're just gonna make sure that there's no scale blocking our hook point. And that right there is what we're gonna be throwing out for channel catfish. I'm just gonna get as close as I can to the water's edge here without falling in. We're just gonna launch this out there, see if a channel catfish wants to play. It's right in front, not very far. Snap that bell on right there. Hopefully the next time this thing goes off, it's a channel catfish at the end of it. Yeah, go for it. It is 12:30 in the morning. We're finally gonna go to bed. It's gonna get comfortable here, and then we'll be back up out there in about 6 hours or so. And then hopefully we can land a sturgeon tomorrow. Crack the windows. Time to hit the sack. Well, this morning is pretty windy, but I think it's like 6:45 in the morning. Woke up about 15 minutes ago. Just got my rod all set up and cast it into the water. Just went and grabbed a couple pieces of wood so that I can get this fire going, just to help break this wind chill. And so yeah, this is it right here. Brand new day. Hopefully the sturgeon want to play. One of my subscribers, Brad, he bought me a bunch of like stuff for my catching cooks. Yeah, I was like, you don't have to buy it, but he was like, no, I want to send you stuff, so he bought me this. So I got some pretty cool subscribers. All right, so we just got done eating breakfast, and so we have been fishing with squid for sturgeon pretty much this entire trip, and we haven't got any hits on squid from sturgeon. We caught a sucker fish yesterday, so I just tied on a piece of sucker, and we'll see if they want fresh sucker meat instead of squid. We're only gonna fish here until about 2 o'clock, then we gotta head out, so try to maximize our opportunity by switching up different baits. There's a fish that just jumped right there. We'll call that good. All right, so for our tacos, we just got some big flour tortillas. We just got Kraft cheddar cheese because who can beat Kraft? And then we just got our walleye here. So this right here is just walleye fillets. I just used garlic and onion powder and then a little bit of salt and then battered it in Louisiana fish fry. Pretty simple. Basically shredded veggies here. And then just some tartar sauce to go on top. And then obviously here we got the olive oil in the cast iron skillet. All right, well, there's a walleye. Oh, we got some sizzle, so she's going in. Just got some smaller pieces. Flip these guys, and look at that. Basically already cooked. The most obvious indicator is just breaking it. You guys see that? I just break it barely, and the meat just falls apart like that. That's a clear indicator that the meat is fully cooked. Oh, I gotta be careful. Top it with a lot of veggies. So that's basically what we're eating. Literally what I just showed you guys. So good. So if you had to rate fishing on a scale 1 to 10, what would you rate it?
For this trip?
For fishing.
For fishing, I'd rate it probably a 3 out of 10.
What about the food?
That would be a 9.5 out of 10.
9.5 out of 10?
I gotta leave 0.5 because, you know, there's gotta be something better out there. Like,
Gotcha.
just to set the bar for next time.
Good deal. All right, so that is Steve right there. We came out together again. Just figured we'd do a camping trip because cabin fever, right?
Right,
Winters, we just
exactly.
needed to get out.
Yep.
Steve's rod is way down there.
Yep.
My rod is right there. And they have basically not produced anything for today. So we figured we got to clean up because Steve has to go do some stuff at home. And I got to do some stuff for the weekend too. So Steve and I, we've, you know, this whole time we just basically talked and just, you know, plans, what we want to do this year. And we'll definitely be out together a little bit more than just twice.
Yep, absolutely.
So that's Steve. Check him out, Northwest Outdoor Adventures. Again, fellow Washington YouTuber. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the next video unless we catch a fish right now. That being said, later guys. Thanks for watching.
Nothing burning in here after this.
Now it's good for the wind.